Welcome to LATTC real-time videos. I'm going to explain our second exercise, which means that we are going to have a composition, and from these compositions we're going to be applying some Boolean logic, also called design operations. I want you to make sure that you guys actually spend some time reading about what Boolean means. Boolean for architecture, Boolean for logic, Boolean for computer science, and my internet is not working very good, but we had already saved some of this Boolean research that we have done previously. So basically this Boolean, there's three types of Boolean operations. You can add, you can subtract, or you can work on the intersection. So basically Boolean is the relationship, let me see if I find one here, that talks about the three types of Boolean operation. Notice here you have one prism, then you have 1, 2, 3 solids that intersect that solid, and then you subtract it, right? So that's what is called a Boolean operation. You can see all of these are examples. Most of them are subtractions. An additive can also be a Boolean operation. So you can add, you can subtract, you can intersect. Here what I did, I Google Boolean architecture. You can just Google Boolean, and I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with these. This is A and B, which is a union. This is A and B, which is also an intersection. So here we will only extrude this Peshitta circle, the Pisces circle, right? So we will extrude only this one because it's the intersection of A and B. And this one is subtraction because it's A without a B, right? So these are called Boolean operations, right? And you can see how spiders think that way. Growth in nature think that way. Here you can see a better example with solids in Boolean modeling, Boolean operation. So very clearly it's like you have solids, and there's hundreds of ways that these solids can relate to each other. A sphere, a cylinder, and perforated cube. And here you can see is a subtraction. These will be an addition, a subtraction, and then here they're not showing the one that it will be the intersection. Here, this will be the intersection. All right, so how do you do this in AutoCAD? So what we're gonna go back here, and we're gonna start again. I'm gonna close that one. I'm gonna start again a new drawing. I mentioned this before, but very quick, a reminder to use an imperial, inches and feet. And it's an educational product. And very quickly, these are your settings. So you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right click, settings. And under these settings, you have three tabs that are very important. This one is the one that controls your grid. And you want to do this 1 inch for this exercise. And I should have not closed it, so I'm going to open it again, settings, and snap and grid. And then we want to do the spacing of the grid 1 inch. And remember that the snap is literally your cursor is going to be snapping to the point of the grid. That's why it's called snap, because it's just going to move to it. And then here we're also going to do 1. And here we're going to do what is going to be the spacing of the grid. And because we want to do 1/4 of an inch, we will divide it in 4. If we wanted to do 1/8 of an inch, how you will divide it in what? 8, right? If you wanted to do 16 of an inch, you will divide it in 16. So I'm just going to do 4 for this exercise, okay? So now we want to zoom in. So because, just a reminder, snap is a scale dependent. So if you're not snapping, it means that you're too far away. You're probably 100 feet, and the snap doesn't count for it, because remember your grid is 1 inch. So if you're drawing on a city, it won't snap. Now, something else about these settings, you can turn it on and off. And notice that it's kind of hard to read when you want to turn it on settings. This is if you don't want to go to the big dialog box. So very quickly, you want your cursor to find the midpoint, the end point, the quadrant. You don't need to go to the settings. This is very quickly, you can turn on and off how smart your cursor is. So you go to settings, and I'll go over this explanation. And we're gonna, it automatically goes to that one, but I'm gonna start here with the grid. We already took care of it. The second one is that your cursor is also gonna track 360 degrees of your object. So here, 45 is when you're actually you're drawing a rectangle, and whenever you see a line that is 45 degrees, what does that mean? It means that you're drawing a square. So you want to put here a square, and I'll show you how it looks when you draw it. And here's the object snap. This is why drawing in the computer is very different by drawing by hand. Now, sometimes your subconscious might tell you this, but here when you have your cursor telling you, do you happen to know that you're at the end point of the line? Do you happen to know that you're perpendicular to the other line? Do you happen to know that that's the center of the circle? And that's why these are called object snap and object setting, and I personally call it making your drawing smart, and I'll show you. So you're going to go here with our rectangle, and notice what I'm going to tell you here. I'm going to start drawing, and notice how it's not snapping to the grid. And it could be for, let me go back here to the settings and see why it's not snapping to the grid. Go to settings, and why it's not snapping. It should be snapping to the grid. Grid snap, rectangular. So I say okay. So it could be because let's see if I go even closer, get the rectangle. Now, see, now it's snapping. I was too big, even that I had zoomed in before. So now when I draw here, notice how I cannot draw in between the grid because I have the snap, right? So it's snapping to the point of the grid, right? So now that when I draw a circle, notice here that also it only lets me go to the end of the grid, and then I start drawing it, and notice how it tells me, do you happen to know that you're at the end point of that square? Do you happen to know that that is 45 degrees? See, that's why you have your snaps. So now you can do it that way and extrude it like exercise number 1, or you can actually use your solids under your build command, and you can start drawing 2D or 3D. You can draw a prism, and nothing happens here because you're on the top view. So you can change to the axonometric and actually see what you're drawing there. And then you don't want any rotation, so you just press enter. And then you press escape, otherwise the machine keeps wanting to draw the same. You can remove that, but I'm not going to go into customizing setting. And then the next thing is that now I want to draw a cylinder. So you want to draw a cylinder here, and then you want to go, what is the radius of your cylinder? Notice here how you can even type it here. But notice that you won't be able to go smaller than an inch because you have the snap. If you don't want the snap, you can come right here and turn it off, and then your cylinder can be as small as you want it. It should be letting you do it small. But I'm just going to do it there. And then it tells you the height. There. Enter. Then escape. Now, on the top view, we can see exactly where that circle is. And now we're going to do a Boolean operation. So you want to first touch the solid that you will be subtracting. So you touch the solid that you will be subtracting. And notice how the top command changed automatically. Check this out. I'm going to check. Press escape and do it again. See how this ribbon tab is up here? The moment you touch the solid, look how it changes. Oops, all of a sudden it's all about your solid. Do you want to select a similar? Do you want to do all these operations to your solids? But what we want, you can split it, you can trim it. We want to do a Boolean operation, and we want to subtract the cylinder from it. So you say subtract, and then what do I want to subtract? I want to subtract the cylinder. Enter. Now nothing happens. That's not a very good design. You know, software gets better and better and smarter, but at this point you just need to say enter. Then it's going to tell you, do you want to erase the geometry? You can decide not to, but we're going to say yes because we want to subtract it. Yes. Enter. Okay, so that should have done it. Then you press escape, and then you go to the 3D, and then it's subtracted. You really cannot see it because this is called a wireframe. So you got to go to the view command and change your viewing settings to something where you can actually see the opacity of the geometry. And there you go. So that's your top view, and that's your axonometric. So now what you're going to be doing, this is just one operation. You can learn so much about Boolean logic, and as I said, you have your union, your subtraction, your intersection. It depends. This counts for 20 hours, these two exercises. You should know what is an orthographic projection, what are Boolean operations, what are Boolean operations for architecture, what is Boolean for logic, what is the Fibonacci series, and it's up to you how do you manage your time. The outcome for all of you guys should be that all of you guys have a design composition on AutoCAD architecture and a design composition that was modified or that suffered a design operation using the Boolean. Right? Great job. Thank you.